Welcome back to another edition of What's Next? Living Longer, Better, Smarter. This time out, reach out and play. And it is made possible by our friends at Ageless Innovation, maker of Joy for All robotic companion pets, and a new line of games designed to bring people together. Learn more at joyforall.com. I'm Fred Fishkin, along with Mary Furlong. Hi, Mary.
Hi, Fred. This episode is so exciting. One of my favorite topics, and I love being a grandmother, and it's Grandparents' Day coming up on Sunday. We're going to be talking about intergenerational play and how good it is for you.
From my perspective, there's nothing better, and boy, do we have the right people with us to chat about it. The AARP has sponsored a new initiative, Reach Out and Play, from Ageless Innovation. And with us from AARP, listen to this title, VP of Fun and Fulfillment, Heather Naraki. Hi, Heather.
Hi, Fred. How are you? I'm so glad to be here.
That's got to be one of the best titles at AARP, I think.
Thank you. Yes, I know people are confused, think I work for Disney or something, but no, here at AARP, we have fun too. I'm so thrilled to be able to lead this effort. Fun and fulfillment is not just for fun and fulfillment and fun in and of itself, but to the end of social connection. So it's a great way. What's the best way to connect with others? Through group activities that are both fun and fulfilling. That's the idea.
Thank you so much, Heather. I can't wait to learn more about Reach Out and Play. And of course, our wonderful friend, Ted Fisher, CEO of Ageless Innovation, has a lot to do with that. Hi, Ted.
Hey, Mary. Hey, Fred. Hey, Heather and Mike. It's great to be here with all of you. And I have total title envy when it comes to Heather. The minute I was introduced to her, I wanted to change my title immediately, but she already had it. So,
well, the company being called Joy for All there is pretty cool too. Yeah. Great to see you, Ted. And we also have with us from Wichita State University, Professor Michael Rogers, Research Director at the Center for Physical Activity and Aging. Hi, Michael.
Hi. It's great to be part of your show. I'm really looking forward to the discussion and really happy that you're giving some attention to this topic. So thank you for including me.
Absolutely. And what a lineup. So let's start out with the big news going on this week, Ted and Heather. Tell us about Reach Out and Play, how it came about, and what will be going on. Ted, maybe you can kick it off.
Sure. Well, yeah, we're so excited for Reach Out and Play to finally be here. This is something that we thought about a few years ago as part of our social mission, part of our cause that we really cared about. And you know, we've been thinking about and talking about this epidemic of loneliness and isolation for years before the pandemic. And I've said many times, but if there's any positive that came out of this pandemic is that it's shown a spotlight on this epidemic of loneliness and isolation. It's been happening, for our older adults now for decades. And when we originally thought about this, it was really about how do we bring people together to play. And we were set to launch in March of 2020. I don't, you all might all remember what happened in March of 2020, but it didn't sound like a great time to have a campaign called Reach Out and Do Anything. So we sort of put it on the back burner. And then as our relationship with Hasbro and the new games opportunity has come about, we sort of resurrected Reach Out and Play. And really, it's a campaign to really, positively impact social isolation and loneliness for our older adults by bringing people together around play, and specifically around playing board games. So you're actually there and present together. And it could be peer-to-peer, it could be intergenerationally, but it's really about making that social connection. And I was so thankfully introduced to Heather by our mutual great friend, Charlotte Yeh. And Charlotte was kind enough to do the introduction, but I think when Heather and I met, it took about 5 minutes for us to figure out this is going to be a really fantastic partnership. And I'll turn it over for Heather's perspective, but we couldn't be more pleased to have AARP as our partner and our sponsor of this event. And it's been an absolute, real joy working with Heather and her team. They have been unbelievably responsive and so committed to this idea of bringing people together around play. So thanks for the partnership, Heather.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ted. When I heard about this idea, I was also very excited because what we do here at AARP is and to help facilitate a sense of connection and belonging and community amongst people, our members, but also people across America who are over 50, is to bring them together for fun, fulfilling, interesting activities and learning. And, this fits right into our strategy. The idea of bringing people together to play games in real life IRL was perfect. And, we really were thrilled to be a part of this and honored to sponsor the initiative.
Ted, the new board games are just great. I call them new, but they are very, very familiar. Tell us about them and how this came about. I mean, the roots of your company essentially were at Hasbro, right? So
that's right. So we started the Joy for All brand at Hasbro. It was first ever brand at Hasbro specifically focused on older adults. My team and I really, from concept, seeing it through to the original sort of 3 years of operating the brand, were in the walls of Hasbro, and they were unbelievably supportive, loved what we were doing, loved the mission, loved the audience that we were serving. And it just, as we got deeper into that, it got more obvious that if we wanted to focus 100% of our time on older adults, which my team and I did, we were going to have to do it outside the walls of Hasbro. So we spun out but maintained a really fantastic relationship with them. And about a year ago, we were in a conversation, and the licensing came to us and said, listen, we are seeing a real uptick in the use of our board games with older adults. We're hearing some feedback that they're not as inclusive, not as easy to play as they could be. Hasbro, to their credit, said, listen, we think there's a real opportunity to reimagine these board games to better serve this audience, and we think you should do it. And I don't know if anybody else who got that call would say no, thank you. But we took us about half of a breath before we said we're in. What do we do? And so we just launched in August, the beginning of August, our first 3 reimagined games: the Game of Life Generations, Trivial Pursuit Generations, and Scrabble Bingo. And all of them have been sort of really with the input of older adults, really reimagined in a way that makes them fun for everyone to play. So peer-to-peer, intergenerationally, the 2 generations themes have, in Trivial Pursuit, on every card there's a question for the greatest generation: Boomer, Millennial, Gen X, and Gen Z. And so you can play across generations on the same card. It's that great. And similar, the Game of Life you play as one of those generations, and the things that happen to you as you sort of drive your car through life are specific to those generations. So we couldn't be more honored to be launching these games and now have the exclusive to do this with their entire catalog, which is hundreds of games. And we're going to come out with 3 to 5 new games a year for hopefully the next decade or more. So couldn't be more excited.
And I think there's been a renaissance in the playing of board games overall, hasn't there?
There has, yeah, and I think that was what they were alluding to is they were seeing an uptick with older adults, and they were it was just, I think COVID had something to do with it, and then I think post-COVID it was this continuation of people saying this is a really wonderful medium to bring people together. Put the phones over here and let's all get together and actually make some eye contact and make those really important social connections. So I have to give credit to my team, because the games that we reimagined are so much fun. I've now played them with older adults and family members and others around the country, and the response has been just overwhelmingly positive.
And we're going to be hosting some of the game sessions and looking forward to that. But tell us how groups and families can participate.
Few different ways. They can go to joyforall.com to find out information there. But if they want to find out events, and I'll let Heather talk about it, but the events that ARP's hosting the website where you can register, but also explore and find places where you can play the games.
Well, let's come back to that. But first, I want to turn to Professor Rogers. A few weeks ago, you were quoted in a Washington Post article headlined, "Want to live longer? Play with your grandkids. It's good for them too." So there is some real evidence here, and tell us all about it, Michael.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of studies that have shown a positive association between increased levels of physical activity and improved health in older adults. And it's really well established that increased physical activity delays the onset and slows down the progression of physical limitations, and it reduces the risk of developing cognitive impairment. So it's vital to be active as we get older. But other studies have specifically shown that older adults gain benefits from spending time with their grandchildren. And just to mention a couple, one study showed that half of grandparents who had direct interaction with their grandchildren were more likely to be alive 5 years later than those who were not involved. And then there was another study that found that grandparents who watched their grandchildren 1 day a week had higher cognitive scores than those who never did. So the thing is, Fred, that many adults struggle to stay active as they age, and grandchildren can provide an incentive. Grandparents will benefit from the increased socialization, the physical activity, the mental stimulation, and the overall sense of purpose it brings to their lives.
Could I add to that? AERP just recently did some research looking at grandparents and board game play in particular with their grandchildren. And our research shows that about half of grandparents 50 plus report feeling more connected to their grandchildren as a result of having a shared board game session. And I think that's really great at showing the power of that kind of interaction that can come from something as simple as sitting together across a table and playing a game.
I think it's good for us physically and mentally too. And, laughing with your grandchildren is one of the best things in the world. So what are some of the most important findings we can put into practice?
Yeah, it's really important to find activities that are enjoyable and for both generations. But ideally, when it comes to physical activities, we want to try to include some type of cardiovascular activity. And that might just be walking, going for a hike, cycling, and then also include some strength training activities. So you don't need a bunch of weights laying around your house to do that. You can use elastic resistance bands or objects you already have around the house, like soup cans. A really fun activity to do with your grandchildren is to make sets of dumbbells out of water bottles. And you fill them with sand, you fill them with rocks, you fill them with water, and you can make these 1, 2, 3, 5, 10-pound dumbbells. And you just weigh them out and get a marker and label the weights, and you just have those that you use. And when you get the grandchildren involved with making them, they feel a little bit more akin to it and want to see what you can do with those dumbbells. But also try to include some flexibility exercises like yoga and balance exercises like Tai Chi that not only work to improve physical fitness, but help reduce the risk of falls for the grandparents. So all these are going to improve physical fitness, not just of the grandparent, but also of the grandchild, and allow them to become more familiar with activities that they can perform to maintain a lifelong activity lifestyle.
Something as simple as going for a walk. When my wife and I have gone for walks with our youngest granddaughter, she takes my hand, she takes my wife's hand, and she wants to be flown over the cracks in the sidewalk. So we're getting some strength training just going on a walk like that, and it's great fun. But even the board games that we've been talking about are great mentally, and a lot of them, at least the kids, aren't going to be sitting for long. Every few minutes they're going to want to get up and run around, and if you do that with them, even playing the board games, there can be plenty of physical activity, I think.
Yeah, I'm hearing an opportunity from Michael for maybe a reimagined Twister. I mean, it sounds to me like maybe we got to get the family up and entangled in some way. So thanks for that insight.
I think that's a great idea. Yeah, I like that. Like I said, physical activity is vital. But like Heather says, and her title says, it needs to be fun and fulfilling as well. So grandparents, they can make a list of activities that maybe they did as a child. Ask their grandchildren if they'd like to participate. It could be hopscotch or hula hooping, and red light, green light, hide and seek, tag, number of activities that were done decades ago. They can purchase a hula hoop and any other supplies and introduce those games and activities to grandchildren, and maybe even incorporate them into board games where after everybody takes a turn, it's 2 minutes of hula hooping and then it's your turn again. Or if you land on a certain tile, you have to do some type of physical activity to make it fun. There's other activities too that serve as a two-way learning process, whether it's model making or ballroom dancing or knitting, gardening, baking, sort of have an element of physical activity, but they're also relaxing, they're bonding activities. And importantly, they preserve traditions from one generation to the next. And I really like the idea of gardening as an intergenerational activity, because it's not just physical activity, but it also can promote lessons about healthy eating that are just as important as physical activity.
I think that's a great one, because everyone likes to see when everything blooms and there's a harvest. That's a really good idea for the fall. What we're really talking about is improving the quality of life for both the children and the older adults. Heather, that's something ARP has been focused on from the start. Right?
Absolutely. And physical activity is so important to all of us in living a longer, healthier, happier life. And what we know from research, I think it's been fairly recent and certainly in the news quite a lot lately, is around the role of social connection to that longer, healthier, happier life. And I love the idea that Michael has about combining physical fitness with social connection. But social connection in and of itself is an important factor to having a better health outcome. So AARP has been, supporting people over 50 for all these years around health and around wealth, financial security. And just somewhat recently, in the last 3 to 5 years, have we started to really look at also that element of social connection and the importance of social connection to the best possible happy long lifespan. So I'm so excited to be able to help us reach those goals and help people feel more socially connected through fun ways, versus just something that's more academic. It's like, no, just get together, have a good time. That's all you need.
One of the things that you've been involved in, Heather, besides this, has been the Movies for Grown-Ups program at AARP. And that has really grown. And I suppose with some of the movies anyway, there can be some intergenerational connections.
Absolutely. Gosh, Movies for Grown-Ups as a feature in the magazine and awards started in 2002, but I started the screening program in 2012, where we started bringing people together in real life across the country to watch free movies together. And that grew up to the pandemic. And then we quickly, like everyone else, switched to virtual. And what's really great is now this year we have a very robust schedule of both in-person movies happening across the country as well as virtual movies. And actually, I had one of my staff people just do a little bit of math for me prior to this podcast recording, and it turns out that we've had over 1 million people come together in community to watch movies with AARP, both virtual and online. And I want to say also the virtual movies are in community as well, because there's always a chat. And I don't know if you ever watched a movie in a large group online with the chat going, but it's so much fun because people are commenting on what's happening, sharing memories, and even just saying where they're from at the beginning of the movie really makes you have the sense of, oh, I'm not watching this movie alone. Just that sense, that psychological sense, I'm not alone here. There's a whole community of people watching with me. It's very powerful.
Wow, that's exciting, and that's really scale. I mean, one of the things that I think is true, Ted, about your work is that it's scaled and across multiple different kinds of products. And I think this is really a movement catching on. And Heather, I was the founder of SeniorNet, so I've been committed to this for a long time, but I'm so excited to see this initiative. And I did attend the Movies for Grown-Ups. I did attend the awards ceremony in LA a couple of years, and that was fun when you honored the older actresses and actors and producers, right?
Yeah. Movies for Grown-Ups is all about advocating for the older audience to encourage the industry to make movies that represent and reflect the lives of older people. And then also recognizing those producers and studios that are doing great work and the actors that are in them that are over 50, the directors, whatnot. So we do have that annual award show every January. It is broadcast on PBS, so stay tuned for that in 2024. But it's really been wonderful to not only talk to the entertainment industry through these awards, but also demonstrate to them through a scaled movie screening program that the audience is there. They want to see these movies and they want to see themselves on that big screen.
You might want to tell us a little bit more before we wrap up, Heather and Ted, about how people can participate with the games, and the Grandparents' Day is coming up. Maybe they can get started for that, but it goes well beyond that.
Yes. So if they want to see about a Reach Out and Play event near them, the URL is aerp.org/agelessplay. That calendar is a dynamic calendar. So we are adding new events all the time. We've got partner organizations, tens of other partners are sending in events to us to add to the calendar every day. And I think you'll find that we're going to have probably close to 500 events at least showing up on that calendar for events through the end of October. So right now, there's the AERP events. Those sponsored events are taking place in the next 2 weeks. So go on and check and see if there is an event near you. But if there's not, don't worry, keep checking back, because I bet you there will be one coming in the next few weeks. And when it comes to movies, I encourage you to go to AERP's Virtual Community Center at aerp.org/VCC. This is a virtual community center of events, movies, theater, trainings, everything from gardening and nature to history to entertainment and exercise and fitness. Something we set up during the pandemic so that people all across the country can participate in these in real time. These are not on demand. You have to show up when it's scheduled and to enjoy these activities in community. So go ahead and check that out, aerp.org/VCC. We have between 30 and 70 events every week happening all the time. So check that out. And that's where you'll find the latest movies that are coming up, including there's a 30th anniversary screening of The Joy Luck Club on September 8th. That's virtual. And then we have actually a virtual pre-release. Sometimes we work with studios to get those movies out for free for a selected group of people, a limited group of people really, prior to them hitting either the online streaming or the theaters. And so we have Amazon's A Million Miles Away showing on September 13th. So go check it out and register. It's all free for everyone. Don't have to be an AARP member.
Terrific. And how do folks get hold of these new games, Ted?
You can go to joyforall.com where they're all there, and we just ran a nice Labor Day special for some folks. I'm sure we'll do something around Grandparents' Day too to make sure that we can get these to all the folks that want them. So yeah, it's been a really positive response so far, and we're looking forward to Reach Out and Play. Really just getting people together and bringing generations together. I'm attending a number of events, so I've kind of dot around the country and go play and have some fun too.
Wow.
And also, Ted, great story in the Wall Street Journal this weekend about ageless innovation in the work.
Thank you. Yeah,
Congratulations.
Really nice tribute to the team and the great work that they're doing. So it's great.
And Mike, what are the best ways to follow the work that you're doing to help keep older adults healthy?
Yeah, a couple ways. You can go to our university website, wichita.edu, and simply search my name, Michael Rogers, and you'll learn more about my work with our Center for Physical Activity and Aging. Another option is to go to researchgate.net, which is a type of social networking site where I put up all of my research papers and other work if you want to read more about that. So researchgate.net, and just again, search Michael E. Rogers.
Wow, what a great session. Thank you all for spending time with us. I'm ready to take a walk and to play some games.
Before we go, Mary, we want to pay tribute to someone else who brought a lot of joy into our lives, the wonderful Jimmy Buffett, who passed away last week.
Yeah, his music and happiness as a performer were always great fun. Who didn't want to be in Margaritaville? And we hope to be talking more about him and some of the challenges that he faced in life at the end in the weeks to come.
We want to thank Ageless Innovation for making this edition possible. Find the products again at joyforall.com. Thanks again to all of you for spending time watching or listening. You can always find us at maryfurlong.com/podcast.